Well, hello everyone. Welcome to Resilience video series, video 3. Moving right along. Hopefully you've had a chance to watch 1 and 2, where in 1 I went through the resiliency model, the 7 aspects, and then in the second video went through the first 2, right? So I'm going to deep dive. Now I'm going through resiliency aspects 3 and 4, next week 5, 6, and 7. And then finally, there'll be an example and a question and answer video for video 5. So much in store. This is like thousands of dollars worth of free programming here. So please take advantage of it. Comment below, ask questions, share, subscribe, write to me, my email, and there's in the comment box below or in the descriptor box, there's the website. You can make donations if you feel so drawn based on the value you're receiving here. Lots of ways to play. So let's get right into it. Each time I do this, I like to just take a moment to center, take a few breaths, just kind of notice where you're at in this day and just drop into your body just for a second, out of the head, into the body, into the moment, becoming present, and just breathing, intending, kind of takes you there. All it takes is a moment. And here we are. And for those who don't know me, my name is WilliamJasonOMara. I'm a doctorate of organizational psychology and resiliency expert, energy management, talking to you from my little office cottage here in Rhinebeck, New York. So let's begin. Every week as we've been doing this, we've been talking about what is resilience and what gets you there. So in other words, resilience is like an effect. What gets you there, what causes it, are sound, holistic, wholesome energy management practices, which then get you to this point of resilience, which most define as an equilibrium, a balance, an adaptability, and a flexibility, how to roll with the punches of life, how to have, bounce back ability. And we all have challenges. I was listening the other day to the Omega Institute interviewed a woman who had survived some great ethnic cleansing in Cambodia, right? Just horrific. If you've ever heard these stories, whether it's Auschwitz and the Nazis or the African civil wars, where, like the Hotel Rwanda, like just beyond what any of us can conceive of. People running down the streets with machetes, killing other people, just like trauma beyond trauma. John McCain in a concentration camp for years and years. Like all these stories move us, right? Because it's people taken to the brink and somehow survive and have a story to tell. I often think of Viktor Frankl's book, Man's Search for Meaning, a psychologist who was a Jewish man and was in a Nazi concentration camp and wrote this book about what it took to survive and the power of meaning. So that's a big part of our journey is understanding what takes people to the edge and how they move. I also want to just share as we start on this video, because we're going to talk about emotional resilience and prana resilience, the importance of just acknowledging everyday trauma. That every person has had challenges, crises, things that knock them down, right? You don't have to have massive PTSD or been in a war zone to have been impacted. I think as growing up in the US of A, between schools and parents, even when everyone's doing their best, right? Many of the messages are wounding to people. They're impactful, particularly if you're sensitive, right? Think of advertisers constantly bombarding young girls and young boys. You need to have this body and these clothes and this makeup and this and this and this and this. Without it, you're not quite cool, right? You're not whole. That's very, very traumatizing to the young population. And then we grow up with adults with that, right? We're still chasing something that will make it better. And it's time to just kind of take a time out, as we are in this global challenge. Here we are in April 2020, and take a look at all that. Is that really how I want to live my life? Is that really, truly meaningful? What has been the impact of all the challenges of my life? If you've ever kind of seen that top 10 stressor list, divorce, health crisis, lost a parent, lost someone change of jobs, loss of job, switching to a new place. Many of us have been through multiple ones at the same time. So it's like, you got to bow to being human. It's hard sometimes, right? Being resilient is not easy, but there are practices. And I do want to say that even when you do the practices, it's filtered through your own makeup, your personality, your genetics and everything. Some people roll with things much better than others for reasons we as psychologists, professionals are still studying and trying to understand. Like why in certain families between two sons, like one will both will lose a parent, for example, and the other one will seemingly flow through it, and the other one's devastated for the rest of their lives. These are fascinating questions. What we can hope to do here in this resilience series is become energy management experts, to keep ourselves at our best optimal energy place, to be at our best, so then we're prepared, right? No matter what happens, we're focusing on the positive, prepared for whatever, we're being strong, capable, psychologically hardy, if that makes sense. So the other videos go into different aspects of this whole explanation and journey. Please go back and watch 1 and 2 over and over again, where I talk about neuroplasticity and the importance of focus and all the different things we've talked about. So the stimulus response model certainly plays a part. So let's go right into it with the idea of emotional resiliency and prana resiliency. We'll spend that time today. And as in past videos, there'll be a little troubleshooting question and answer at the end, and we'll wrap up. Remember, it's experiential. We can only talk about these things so much. Take what you can out of the last videos and this one. Make yourself a little 10-minute practice in the morning, in the afternoon, in the evening. Try it out for 20 days, for 10 days, for 3 days, and see what happens. If you notice a benefit and you see it in your mind, you're more likely to continue to do it. It becomes a reinforcer when you start to notice there's a power to these. So emotional resiliency. Let's tune into what that is and what that might mean. Yeah. There's been a whole world of emotional intelligence written about, positive psychology, optimism. In fact, in my doctorate dissertation, there was a whole aspect of what is the impact on optimism on employees' perceptions of justice. And it certainly plays a part, right? So many things can help us. You can always do, whenever I'm doing these videos, some Google searches, right? You can say, what is the power of positive emotions on my physical body? And you'll find tons of research. I mean, we're at a time of unprecedented research onto these types of topics, of how the relaxation response, if you will, to offset all the negativity and stress that people are in with adrenaline and cortisol, is so powerful to relax the body, to get the mind in its optimal state for creative decision making and innovation and doing its best, right? It's powerful. So here are some tips around emotional resiliency. First and foremost, you really can't separate mental resiliency from emotional resiliency. Now, I didn't have mental resiliency as a category. I kind of included it within the power of the word, right? The idea that what we think, right, whatever we kind of ruminate with and speak is the ultimate power. But invariably, whatever you think has an impact on how you feel. When I worked with Anthony Robbins years ago, and NLP was one of the sciences, he talked about emotional state being influenced by both the internal representations, the thoughts, and our physical body, meaning posture, breathing, smiling. If you're in an empowered physiology, it sends different messages to your emotional state than if you're kind of broken down, sad, breathing shallow, sad face, right? So you can shift that in an instant. It's the quickest way, Tony Robbins used to say, to change your state is change your physiology. And then you can change the kind of questions you ask yourself. When you ask a question like, hey, what am I grateful for? What am I empowered and committed to do today? Who loves me and who do I love? That starts to bring, if you focus on it, right, and answer the questions, it accesses new feelings, right? Or if you get crazy questions from marketers, for example, who might say, hey, are you fat and overweight and depressed? And you go, well, yeah, I feel like that. And then you want to go buy their product, right? It's a kind of a secret weapon of the marketing world, is kind of ask questions that make people feel bad. And then they will solve that supposed bad feeling. So being a master at the mental and physiological resiliencies helps with the emotional resiliency. That's the kind of the thing I want to talk about. When you're using those first two, the mindfulness and the power of the word, in getting your mind in the best place possible, your feelings will follow, right? We'll talk more about the physical aspects when we get to physical resiliency next week, but just for now, understand facial expressions, posture, arm positioning, movement, breathing, right? Walk, talk, breathe the way you choose to be, confident, alive, energetic, enthusiastic, and it will come through in your emotional state. So with that as a kind of prerequisite, let me get to a few tips. Number one, emotional resiliency works at the heart level, right? This level here. We were talking last week at the kind of mental level. Now we're dropping in here. The heart, your passion, compassion, the place of love and courage and strength. So I always like to say to people, take a moment and put your hands on your heart and tune into this area. Breathe into this area of the heart. I call this the heart meditation. And it just takes a moment. And see your heart like a flame flickering on a top of a candle. And we're just going to put a little attention on the heart and let this flame grow. That's our intention here. And we can invite in the earth and the heavens and all that you believe in. Ask for some support. And just see and feel this area here, the heart, growing, brightening, shining, filling up to be all it can be. Filling up with all the love you can handle. Because it's already in there. The kingdom of God is within. We're just acknowledging it, right? Filling up, filling up, filling up. Filling up, filling up, filling up. And feel the shift. Just by taking a moment, feel that candle burning brighter. See the heart opening up. Feel the love igniting. That's what all these resiliences are attempting to do, is fill up, bring strength, courage, power, energy to your system, right? And when you're in this place, when some things happen that aren't quite appealing, you're in the best place possible. Now, some things to do. Once you fill up, it's just natural to go into the place of kindness, of giving, of loving other people. So think about, once you leave this little meditation, who might need a little upliftment, a kind word, a text, a phone call, a written card, a stopover. Who could you lift today? And that has its own momentous lift back, right? Because invariably when you make somebody else's day, they'll tell you. And then it's like, oh, I made somebody's day. Oh, I feel even better, right? Your emotional resiliency grows, and it grows, right? Be mindful of the thoughts in your head that compacts. Do this meditation. Think of ways to be kind to others. And the last one I'll say, which is kind of a proverbial one you may have heard in many positive or happiness books, is the idea of the power of gratitude. You know, maybe you've been in a course where there was a 21-day gratitude program or journaling every night. Again, it just shifts the focus when I ask, what am I grateful for? In life, we have much of many things, but we often have a negativity bias and we start seeing what's missing, and marketers feed off of that, right? So when you can go over here and just kind of savor the positive, let's linger in that a little bit longer, you know? In Rick Hanson's book, The Buddha's Brain, he talks about that, you know, negative is like, you know, Velcro, it sticks, and the positive is like Teflon, it slides through. So by saying, what am I grateful for, and rampaging for a few minutes, I'm grateful for my home, I'm grateful for my health, I'm grateful that I have some money, right? I'm grateful I have this and all the people I love. And it's like you just start to feel the energy shift. And it's really cool, really powerful. Now, another thing I'll add before I move on to Prana Resiliency is there's many ways to play with this. There's many books written on this. I'm just trying to give you in each of these videos 3 of my favorite tips to kind of get the ball rolling. And, you know, always, this is experiential. You choose. You're the best scientist of yourself. Pull and make it happen for you. The other thing I want to say is sometimes, you know, we start the day right and then we kind of drop. So you have the opportunity to reset as many times as you want. You can go back to the heart meditation. You can go back to gratitude, back to kindness, back to savoring positivity. You can take a moment and visualize or listen to something. It depends. You know, your learning kind of modality, if you're visual, auditory, kinesthetic, can guide you in that respect. If you're visually, you may need to see something. Auditory, you may need to hear something. If you're, you know, kind of kinesthetic, you may need to do some emotional regulation. I'll talk about that in a second. Or touch yourself, or just kind of get calmed down in the physical level. Drink water, eat food, do something, movement that kind of shifts your state. Many ways to play emotional resiliency. I hope some of those were helpful. Play with it. Moving on now to Prana Resiliency, which is in the same camp. And all of these resiliencies will overlap. They'll have an impact on each other. No doubt the word impacts the emotions, and the prana impacts the emotions, and the physical impacts, you know, they're all mind, body, spirit connected. So just realize that the more of these resiliencies you can learn about, take many of them and apply the ones you want, they're going to work together. So Prana Resiliency, prana means life force or breath. Now we're all breathing. This seems like a ridiculous one to the analytical mind. Like, of course, well, you know, Bill, I'm breathing all day long, right? The body breathes automatically. What are you talking about? Well, the thing is that we don't really consciously breathe. We don't really take deep breaths to give us more. Our organs, our blood, the lungs, the heart, all the hormonal systems, the glands work better when there's a flush of oxygen. It's one of the reasons that exercise is so powerful, like cardio, like you're getting the heart pumping. More breath, more energy, more life force through us. And if you doubt the power of breath, ask yourself how long you can go without breath versus food or water, right? Breath is, you can't go very long. It's essential to the body. So when you deeply breathe and flood your system with more oxygen, right, it goes into the blood, into the cells, more starts working for your favor. It stimulates that relaxation response to counter the natural adrenaline cortisol from the stressors of life, and we start to relax. So let me give you 3 quick breathing ways, some tips, and we'll wrap this up, hopefully, before we go too long. Some of my colleagues are saying, keep it to 30 minutes. People have minimum, have so much attention span, and I get that. So one of my favorite ones is called the 7-7-7 breath, right? So you count 7, exhale 7, and inhale 7, hold 7, exhale 7, right? So you can just put your hands together. Inhale, usually through the nose, but you can play with various places. Inhale nose. Hold 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Exhale mouth. And do this 7 times. And you'll notice your body relaxing but energized. It is a very balancing breath. Very powerful. Simple to do. There are other variants of this. Andrew Weil has one for sleep. I think it's a 8-9-7 breath. Look it up on the internet so you'll have the right ratio that helps you prepare for sleep. There's many ways to do it. The other one I like is alternate nostril breathing, and I'll do this. My hands have been very, sanitized today, or if you want to have a glove. But the idea here is you're going to close one nostril, inhale left, hold, close the other, and exhale right. Inhale right, close, exhale left. You do this for, a few minutes, 1 minute to 3 minutes, inhale. And this is this beautiful power of balancing the hemispheres of the brain, the sides of the body, the yin, the yang. Very calming, very balancing. All the breaths I'm going to give you have a bit of a calming, cooling effect. If you need more energy, you can look up breath of fire or breath of joy on the internet, or go to my partner Renee Scuba's Nam Yoga classes, which is packed with numerous energy management breath exercises of various sorts that'll rock your world and lift your energy, if that's a big one for you. Often we're in the corporate world, our leaders or people, we're very, very busy. We're rocking to the, we want to have something that's balancing and soothing. And the last one I'll give you is called Subtly Pranayama. This where you bring all your fingers together, connected in front of the chest or solar plexus level. And you're going to breathe in through the tongue with a slight curl to the tongue, if you can do that. But you're just intending the breath to go over the tongue. Inhale, count of 4, hold 4, exhale through the nose. 4, and do this again for a minute or 3. There are many meridians on the tongue that are connected to every aspect of the body, so breathing over it has this calming effect on the nervous system. So check it out. You can do, again, if you want to get more research in this, look at on Google or any of your favorite search engines, the power of oxygen and breathing and its impact on the physical body, the emotional state, and performance. You'll find lots of stuff. It's just remarkable. Olympians are into breathing, from housewives to business people. It's like conscious breathing. So you have the 7-7-7 breath, just any old way, inhale in through the nose, hold 7, exhale 7. In alternate nostrils, through the left, out to the right, onto the right, the Subtly Pranayama. And you can look up additional ones for more energy or sleep or whatever. For advanced practitioners, there are mudras or various other kind of physiological positions to go with breaths that can help you. You can practice just through the mouth and just through the nose, or alternating. See how it works for you. And I would be remiss if I didn't add a couple of emotional regulation exercises with the prana. One is the shoulder holding. If you're feeling particularly tense or nervous, if you cross your arms, put one hand on each shoulder, if you can do that, or as best you can. And take a few long conscious inhales and exhales. You'll notice this will start to, especially if you're anxious, triggered, hijacked. Do not act when you're in that state. Regulate and calm down. Drink water, get outside, sit on the grass, just let yourself calm down. Another one of my favorite ones called the FO hold. One hand on the front of the forehead, one on the back of the head, the frontal lobe, the occipital lobe, thus the FO hold. again, with deep breathing, tends to kind of re-energize the brain out of the fear centers and into a more circular pattern so that the conscious mind can connect with the ancient emotional brain and bring balance. Again, deep breathing, deep breathing, deep breathing. I'm going to pause for just a few seconds here. I'm going to grab something. Stay tuned. Okay, back. Thank you for a little pause. Okay, so those are a couple of regulation exercises with breathing. Check it out, So in conclusion, we've talked about emotional resilience, the power of the mind and focus as it impacts emotions, filling up the heart, acts of kindness, savoring positivity, the gratitude aspects. And we talked about resetting or shifting back to your place of balance and power if throughout the day things are draining you. Yeah, I think I mentioned that last week. Be aware of environments or people or situations that tend to have kind of a pull you down effect, and start shifting the environment and shifting the way you deal with it and keep yourself energetically strong. And then the breath is very, very powerful. Learn what I've given you here, practice them, add to it. These may seem complicated, but they're very simple. This is beginning to intermediate level work. There's way more you can go to. If you choose. So let's talk about some frequently asked questions or some troubleshooting that may pop up as you start on your journey with these two particular resiliencies. As always, I'll always mention it's experiential. There's no way to kind of figure this out and have it right before you try it. It's doing it. It's simple as that. It's behavior modification. As you start doing these things, you'll notice the impact. It'll be reinforcing and you'll want to keep doing it. The second thing is, what if you have a significant trauma or you've been depressed for a long time and you can't shake something, right? This is why they have professionals, right? I would encourage you to see a professional coach who is an expert in one of these areas, or a psychotherapist or a psychiatrist. There's nothing wrong with getting a little medication help for a period of time. I've known a lot of people who resisted the heck out of it and they did it for a few months, and it just, sometimes it's a biochemical shift that's necessary. Sometimes a change in diet can do that. I don't want to prescribe for you what you should do. I'm giving you options. If you want to write to me with more, I will offer you suggestions, but your doctor's your best source. Okay? Learn what you can about your own situation and what might be the best way about it. Therapy helped me a lot over the years, kind of work through some of my emotional challenges. If you have more intense PTSD or neuro issues, there's a woman on YouTube named Irene Lyons who's an expert in neuro reprogramming. There's a modality called somatic experiencing, Feldenkrais, Alexander technique, yoga. Many have been used to help the body kind of let go of old stuff, old energy, old trauma, so we can come back into balance. If that's still there, it's hard. Some of these techniques won't have the power that you want if you've got heavy loads on your nervous system and your soul, right? So check those out if that calls to you. As always, resetting, you just can't just do this once in the morning. Morning is so key. Come back to it over and over again. And lastly, if you think breathing, I'm a guy, so I just other than sports, if someone said try all these different breathing patterns, I would have kind of rolled my eyes. But I ended up taking martial arts and studying Qigong and meditation and yoga because it helped me so much. And breathing is such a natural thing that we already do. We're just augmenting it. Conscious breathing, deep conscious breaths. Subtly Pranayama, alternate nostrils, learning other ones. If you need more, to rest and sleep, or you want to ramp up with a breath of fire or breath of joy. Breath of joy is a fun one where you stand up and you breathe, inhale 3 parts, up, 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 a little back bend, and then you kind of come down into a skier's position, down with your knees bent if you can, or you can do it seated, or just a little bit of bending over. You do 12 of those, you feel like $1 million. It really kind of energizes you. Be careful about doing any of these right after a meal or after too much caffeine or alcohol. Try to wean yourself off of, caffeine all day and alcohol all night if that's still a big part of your life. Try to drink more water. We'll talk about that next week. So there you have it. 24 minutes. I think we've covered most of them, what I wanted to say today. It's a fascinating topic, emotional resiliency. And I know in my work in leadership programs, not only is it a popular one, but also the whole world of emotional intelligence. I'll mention this for just a second. Emotional intelligence for leaders is so important because there's a internal, external feedback loop with emotions. They're contagious, if you will. So when leaders are mature, servant leaders, evolve, they know how to lift people emotionally, they are beloved and they're effective. If they're old school tyrants and stress people out, then it's just a constant tug of war and wrestling match to try to get people to perform because they're so stressed out by the leader, you know. And people don't leave organizations, they leave leaders who are ineffective. So it's an important one to kind of master and take advantage of. So let me take a pause here for us to center and let this all integrate. Breathing and relaxing, letting anything you need today drop in your cup of emotional resiliency, of prana resiliency. Some of you are more advanced. You can add your own unique twists to this. Maybe these were reminders. But do it, do it, do it. It's experiential. So right now, decide what can you pull from today. Maybe that little heart meditation and some gratitudes. Maybe just a few of those breaths. Bringing them to your morning. Just the 7-7-7 breath for 3 to 5 minutes is a meditation. You can tackle your breathing and your mindful meditation all in one. That's what really good advanced yoga classes do. They integrate physical movements, breathing, mantras, mudras, a whole bunch of modalities. So you're getting a whole spiritual workout as well as a physical, a mental, emotional, which Nam Yoga that Renee I mentioned does. But you can go to where trust your instincts, I always say, right? You know what you're drawn to. Take what's useful, throw the rest out, and go from there. So I'll let's wrap up at this point. Thank you so much for your time and attention. As always, comment, ask questions below, subscribe, share the video, share the good news. This series is powerful, packed with gems, thousands of dollars worth of goodies here. This is the third video. There'll be 2 more. They should be listed below where the second one is, and the fourth one. We'll always keep that communication loop going. And thank you so much. Stay strong, stay happy, stay resilient. Use every energy management practice you're drawn to. Stay in your container of energy that keeps you resiliently strong. You're needed. So stay strong. All right. Take care now. WilliamJasonOMara signing off. Bye-bye.